Today we're going to continue our conversation from last week on revenue activities. Really want to look at going beyond your site and the sorts of things that you can do to add value for your advertisers, at least a segment of them. And we're also going to talk about some of how Locable goes about prospecting and selling with publishers. I know a number of you get leads regularly that can and should make you more money and so forth, and so I'm going to talk about how that process works. To get started, this is all about leveraging your relationships. So there's nothing that I'm going to focus on today that's around your traffic or your audience per se. It's all about your relationships with business owners and helping them reach their objectives. So in a sense, we're going to be talking about publishers as an agency and how that can fit in. So I want to introduce you to this concept of audience extension. Now, you can see at the bottom, sorry for the text-heavy slides, just the way it worked out. 3/4 of digital publishers offer audience extension as a service to their advertisers. So what I did is I grabbed a couple definitions from this AdMonster site to convey what audience extension is. So it's a process that allows publishers to generate revenue from their web traffic by allowing advertisers to reach their audience far beyond their website. Now, Google is the most common user of this. Although when they do it, they talk about retargeting. If you've ever, attempted to rent a moving truck or buy a pizza, you probably noticed that on many sites that you went to in the following weeks, you were being pushed pizzas and moving trucks or whatever the thing is that you're looking at. I tend to get pushed a lot of golf stuff. And so the reason for this is Google knows who I am, and as I go around the internet, they're retargeting me. They know I expressed interest in some product before. They figure they're going to show me an ad, and the odds of me engaging is much higher. That's all about the user. And some of retargeting and audience extension overlaps, but the audience extension I'm going to talk about today is much more specific to the sites and the content than the user itself, right? So when I go to a site, Google knows it's Brian. Well, that has all sorts of privacy considerations, and there's lots of legislation going on. We're going to talk about audience extension in the sense of what are other sites on the internet that this particular advertiser may want to be on to reach my audience or a similar audience. And so the goal here is that you can reach you can frankly sell far more inventory than you possess as a local publisher. Now, a couple things. Your site's the core. It's incredibly high value. You're going to effectively charge more for your site than audience extension. And you also have a high degree of customizable solutions. So we talked about all the various things from banner ads to sponsored content to social promotions, email sponsorships, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And of course, your readers have an incredible level of affinity. Not to mention if you're a print publisher, you also have the print side. Other sites have very limited options. Obviously, there may not be any affinity, but they add tremendous scale because you might be talking about, say, home and garden or car and driver. They get a lot of traffic. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, well, my advertisers that I work with don't want to reach everyone in car and driver. That's true. And modern techniques allow you to reach a certain segment, a certain geographic segment on a given site. So you can say, I want to reach the Boston traffic for car and driver. And as a result, there is an element of wow factor, right? If you're a smaller business and you appear on car and driver, another big publisher, it seems impressive. And obviously, someone in Boston doesn't realize that someone in New York isn't seeing this particular ad, although they may suspect. So there's some interesting opportunity here. Now, I want to highlight a couple things here. First is, who is audience extension for? Clearly, it's for just a segment of your advertisers. It's for the larger advertisers, the ones who have more budget, and likely the ones who are looking for broader market reach. So many of the publishers we work with are in, let's say, one of the communities around Dallas-Fort Worth. So let's take Southlake style. They're in Southlake, Texas. But a lot of business owners, especially if they're maybe a car dealer or they provide a unique service or something, might want to reach everyone in Dallas, or at least a major portion of the metroplex, and so audience extension could be a great fit there. Now, the downside to audience extension is that you can't get into the same level of local, and we'll talk about that in a minute. It is relatively fast and easy because, frankly, you already have the relationship, and you can take these banner ads and you can push them out. And Locable, by the way, is bringing this up because we can facilitate this for you. We work with a third party that can handle a wide range of audience extension opportunities. And so it's completely forecastable as well. As a local publisher, your traffic varies quite a bit. Given the content, if you happen to get a particular article to go viral or whatever, your traffic goes up and down. But this stuff is very forecastable, and they can say, I want to reach this many people, and over what's the word I'm looking for here? When you do audience extension, you'll do it on multiple sites. So you'll have a portfolio. That was the word. Over a portfolio of sites, I know if I want to put my ad in front of 30,000 eyeballs, I can do that. It's completely forecastable across the portfolio. Now, for you, what's really great about this is you make money as an agency. You're making money by selling something that you don't own. And the way this works is basically we in the company we work with will make the buy at, let's say, $2, and you'll sell it at $8, and everyone gets a piece of that pie. Numbers don't matter so much in this example, just to show that there's a difference, right? You can also, in some cases, promote some of your custom activity across the audience. So I mentioned in a previous session that one of our advertisers was looking at doing a social promotion with a big sponsor, natural gas provider in the area. And the natural gas provider's idea was to use their audience extension buy to point back to the publisher social promotion. So in this case, as a publisher, you're getting paid to drive people back to your site on behalf of your advertiser. That's a double win. And what's really great about this is, often our publishers drag their feet about selling digital because they know they don't have a lot of traffic, although we've talked previously about how that's not always that important. But now if someone says, well, how much traffic do you have? Well, you can say, look, the solutions I'm bringing to the table can reach as many people as you want to reach. You don't have enough budget to eat all of my traffic and all of the extended audience, the extended network traffic. So it really changes this dynamic and lets you think about really crafting a solution for an advertiser, not merely, what is the limitation of my brand reach, for instance. Now, there are a few considerations. Audience extension is not a perfect science, both in terms of identifying the portfolio mix. So if you think about investments, it's very similar. You'll take, say, 15 or 20 websites, and they've got a certain amount of inventory available for us to tap into. It's going to take some mixing and matching because each website, let's say a home and garden, has a general reader profile. Well, that's a general reader profile. We don't have exact information. Nothing is exact. And so the system that we use will pick and choose and try and balance out the best rates to performance. And then it'll try a different variation. And so it will continue to optimize up to a 6-month campaign to get truly optimized. There is limitations on how local it can be. Some services can go more local than others, but ad servers don't know exactly where you are. They just happen to know that I'm in Folsom, which is a fairly large geographical area. In some cases, they may only know that you're in the metro, especially if you're on mobile or another internet connection. So it's not perfect, and it can't work down to a zip code in most cases. And it's limited to display, so you can't sell a social promotion or sponsored content. It's just the banner ads, and in fact, it's usually limited to the most common banner ads that are guaranteed to appear across the site. The good news is on this particular topic that the sidebar rectangle, the 300 by 250, is pretty much the most consistent size on the internet, so that's very much in play. So the point to introducing all of this to you is that if you have an advertiser that you know advertises elsewhere, that's looking for more ways to reach an audience, you can come in and say, hey, we have this ability to reach a larger audience even by extending our brand. Would you like to learn about that and get the ball rolling? Now I'm going to switch gears and show you how we've started to sell. and what this process looks like. We get some referrals from publishers, we get some direct leads, and I want to show you how we present it. Last time we talked about the media kit, and this week I want to show you our variation. So basically what I did is I took stills of our media kit, sans the cover. On the left we've got sort of an intro letter benefiting from local advertising and so forth. And then you can see we have our market-specific options and pricing. So this is a recent campaign we just sold that hits on 4 markets, primarily in the Southern California area. It combines banner ads with sponsored content. On the third position, you see advertising promotion. We talked on the phone about this, but I wanted to reinforce what the benefits of each sort of campaign component were, and then of course the ad sizes in more detail. You can see by design we're redundant. We try to be educational. We know that the boss who writes the check may not be on the phone when we have our calls and so forth, and so we need to make sure to be overly communicative in this way. And you'll also notice that our proposal is less visually oriented than what we recommend you to do with yours. And the simple reality is when we put this together, we don't know exactly which publishers are going into a given proposal or that they're going to bite on. In this case there was 4, in other cases there might be 15. And so we can't necessarily highlight a given brand the way that you can, but this allows us to really tell the story we want the advertiser to hear. And this did turn into a buy, so she bought across all four websites in this case. They may expand to print as well in the future, but there's more variability. In this case, there is a online only, a monthly, a bi-monthly, and a quarterly in the mix, and that obviously complicates the print sales cycle for us. Now I want to talk about what this process looks like generally speaking, because you may have a lead and you want to know what happens if I refer this person to Locable and what's in it for me and so forth. So our general lead development process goes as follows. We get either an inbound request through locable.com. Sometimes we get them through what I'll refer to as defunct websites in the Locable network. There's a few publishers that we work with that went out of business, but their site's still up and actually still generate a fair number of leads. Or from a referral from an affiliate, which is quite literally, you should talk to Brian because Locable does cool stuff. And so basically what happens is, in many cases the referrals, by the way, that we get from publishers are maybe they need a website, or I can't quite get them closed on digital. Talk to them. They may not be a referral for a network buy, but in other cases it's, I know that this business is in multiple states. You should talk to Locable, see what the bigger implications are. So we'll send an email introduction. What we find is when we introduce Locable and the idea that they can buy from one point of contact and buy in multiple markets, they get pretty excited about that because they have a hard time as local businesses identifying publishers in multiple markets. So let me do a phone introduction. We introduce the network and our community approach. We're always selling, right? Selling the virtues of what we do, selling your brands, the quality of your audience, and so forth. We learn more about their marketing goals, whether it's the individual markets, the audience they want to reach, and of course the engagement. So do I want to just buy banner ads? Do I want to buy things that demonstrate thought leadership and so forth? And then we also take a look at their current activities, their website, their Facebook, their email lists, etc. Often we find that they're in need of assistance there. And then we sort of introduce, okay, here's our general approach, here's what my initial reaction is to make an initial suggestion. And then we take that feedback, right? How does this sound? Do you have any questions about how a sponsored article series works, etc.? Then we follow up with a written proposal, which I just showed you. And again, we include the best fit options, but we always include a couple others as well. We thought you might want to learn more about email sponsorships. It's a bit of a long shot, but it might fit something you've got coming up. And so all of a sudden now we give them an option to say, yeah, throw in dessert with that. Follow up with phone, call to close, and then send the invoice or IO to get started and then start the campaign. Publishers obviously benefit in a few ways. So for the publishers that we sold into, you've got a new advertiser. For the publisher that refers over, you get a finder's fee. So it's all, everyone in the network benefits from everyone else. So here's sort of how the math works. You got a rate card. Locable retains between 20 and 35% off the rate card for network sales. So it's new money out of market, completely hits your bottom line. We handle everything. 20 to 35% depends on the type of campaign and so forth, and frankly, how much legwork we're doing. If it's a social promotion or sponsored content, it's more work than, say, a banner ad. The referring publisher, well, you earn 20% on digital services. So a referral we got yesterday is to a dentist who needs a website. All right, we can do that. It'll probably turn out to be between $1,500 and $2,500. Publisher earns 20%. You can do the math. And then the referring publisher on a network buy gets 25% of the net. So obviously the portion that Locable holds back from the publishers in the network, the referrer gets 25%. And likewise, if we happen to go do an audience extension buy with the third-party sites, you get 25% of the net there as well. Literally making money for an introduction. So there's a lot of, obviously, variability that can go into this. The key here is just ask. Ask us how we can help with your advertisers. Think about which of your current advertisers would benefit. And we can talk about how this could work, what the markets could be. Is it a fit for the larger audience extension or just Locable's network, which is the example I wrapped up with. And then we can help you put together a game plan to go talk to them. Most local businesses don't realize that you can say, hey, I want to reach these people in these markets and on these sorts of sites. They're really happy to be able to do that. It's not an expensive buy, relatively speaking. It's a high-value buy, and it, again, complements what you offer them. We're going to help you reach the right market with our brand and with the extended audience. So with that, shorter session today. I've covered everything I wanted to talk about with audience extension, but we haven't had a lot of opportunity to talk with publishers about audience extension and the network buy and so forth. So I'd love to answer any questions that you have or clarify anything on the subject while we're here. If you have any specific advertisers that you're thinking might be a good fit, again, because they either have more budget or they serve more markets than just your audience, put together a list for us, ideally with an email, with a website address, so we can take a look and prep, and then we can do either a phone call or a back and forth with emails and figure out the game plan there. So Pamela asked, how does market extension help my customer reach a broader market? Well, you got all these sites, right? Let's take Home and Garden. So let's say that you've got an advertiser that is advertising with you because they want to reach your market, specifically homeowners. Well, and let me say the third party we work with puts together these custom proposals for us based on the sites in their network. But let's say that Home and Garden is one of 15 sites that has a disproportionately high number of homeowners, like 4 times the internet average or something. Well, then what we can do is we can say we can place ads on these 15 sites targeted at people in these zip codes or this metro. So it's still a local buy, but it's a local buy on sites that aren't necessarily inherently local. So you're targeting the people who go to the sites, not the site themselves. Does that help? I know that there's a language nomenclature issue with some of this stuff. I guess one of the core underpinnings is every time you check into the internet, you have what's called an IP address, and that IP address has a location tied to it, or at least a general location which is used for this particular type of targeting. And yes, you are absolutely selling, effectively you're selling ads on other publishers' websites. Now, usually it's going to be a national publisher when you do this sort of thing. Google is an audience extension network. So that example I gave you when you went around the internet, anyone who uses Google AdWords, which we do when a local ad's not sold, will be subject to retargeting. So you may go from your own website to some national brand like People Magazine and you're bouncing around and you're seeing the same ad targeting. In my case, again, it would be golf clubs or something, and it's the same ad chasing me around the internet. That's Google pushing their ad out to me on the various sites that I visit.
Another example that might be useful is, you approach a local car dealer. They're, typically have bigger budgets. They do a lot of advertising. They want to reach your local audience. Typically, when you're talking to larger, more sophisticated advertisers, they'll understand that it's about branding and all that, but they still want to know that they're reaching a certain amount of people. So they like your brand, they want to advertise on your site, and they're like, well, it's not going to reach enough people based on your traffic. This is a solution you can offer to them, knowing that they understand what they're doing, they've got a bigger budget, and what you're basically saying to them with audience extension is, I can help you not only reach the people that are affiliated with my publication, but I will help you reach those same people as they visit other bigger sites, like, for example, caranddriver.com. It could be weather.com. There's a whole bunch of other ones that make sense, that aren't in competition with you, and you're basically, in this case, just being a reseller. You're saying, all right, I know you want to reach 40,000 people. My site will help you reach 10 of those, and the other 30,000 people will help you get your ad placed on relevant places in our community that'll reach that same exact person, because of the way the technology works. They might visit my site first, see the ad, and then they'll go to weather.com and see the ad, then they go to caranddriver.com and see the same ad. So you're just being the middle person to extend the reach of their ad while still taking advantage of what you have to offer locally. So hopefully that is another example that may be a little bit easier to understand.
And that's really why it's referred to as an agency. So Pamela said, why wouldn't they go directly to Car and Driver? Well, there's a couple reasons. One is Car and Driver won't actually take you if you're small. It's too much work, right? And by small, they have a different definition of small than we do. So if your budget's not, say, 15 grand or 20 grand a month, for them, they're going to say it's not, no, go somewhere else, go to the network. And so you need to have sufficient scale, and that's why we partner with this third party, so that we can push in and take advantage of their scale. The other thing is, it's a lot of work, right? You have to do a lot of legwork to place ads. We've talked to a lot of agencies that say, we hate buying ads. And so they will only work with a network. So you may have local agencies that go, we'd love this because all of a sudden now I can put all of the budget that I need to spend into one buy, and I still get this portfolio. It's the same reason why you buy a mutual fund instead of just buying a stock. You want diversification, you want to benefit from that, and you may not have sufficient resources to buy all the stocks in a given mutual fund directly. You say we're a value-added middleman in this case. Our goal is to have a few of you come to us with a few leads that you think would benefit from this. go ahead, put together some proposals over the next couple weeks, and then after we close a few of them, we'll do a more detailed dive. Obviously, this type of audience extension is something newer that we're participating in, although it's not new. It's just newer for us in our network. And then come back with more specific examples, which can help drive home the point a bit further in terms of what the benefits are to the publisher, what the benefits are to the advertiser, and how this really can be a nice enhancement to your existing business. Any other questions before we sign off for the day? Eric asked to confirm with the extension that people, the advertiser are reaching are somehow affiliated with our website and location, or are they just visiting these other sites. It's actually primarily tied to in the way that we're doing it with our partner, it's tied to the reader behavioral demographics. So it's behavioral targeting, not user targeting. So, you know, if you have an advertiser who really wants to reach pregnant and recently new moms, there's a lot of sites that have a really high proportion of that audience, right? And so what they do is say, we're going to place your ads on these sites, and we're going to target people who come from these locations based on their IP address. So it's 2 points of targeting. Google does user level retargeting, but they do that because, well, they're Google, and they can, although there's a lot of speculation that that will become illegal. It uses cookies to track, although Google could probably track you just because you're always signed into Google, just like Facebook, but a lot of cookie-based tracking is going bye-bye in the near future. The type of targeting that we're talking about is behavioral, and like I said, it's based on the type of person. So there won't necessarily be a direct connection between Locable and the user who goes to Car and Driver in your community. All right. Well, with that, we'll say thanks for joining. We're going to post this again. And again, if you have any advertisers, it could be a car dealer. Usually your bigger advertisers are good candidates for this. It could be natural gas companies, electricity companies rather. All of those tend to be good fits. Health providers, insurance, etc. Could also be a good fit for this. So let us know. Connect with us. We'd love to help you put together some proposals. And the reality is, it's found money for you, and it's added value for them. Keeps them talking to you instead of going to an agency who's going to, you know, put other objectives ahead of things. So let us know how we can help you, and we'd love to get some of these sold and highlighted in future sessions. Have a great afternoon. We'll see you all next week.